Shalom Saints. I want to read from Revelation chapter 12, verse 6. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she hath a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. So this is when the woman is having, or after the woman has had the child. But then in today's gospel, the woman turns around and says, well, actually, you know, haven't you heard that I'm a career woman now, and that I can vote? In actual fact, I don't want to go to any wilderness, because I'm quite happy in the world. Yeah? Now, this is generally what's going on in many godly households of the believers today. I'm talking about born-again believers that should be in the Messiah, where the women should know their place and are trained in the ways of the Most High, just like Sarah was, you know, the very intelligent woman that she was, and was married to Abraham, and referred to Abraham as her Lord. I just wonder how many wives actually refer to their husbands as their Lord. Paul actually describes this as well, saying that the head of the man is the Messiah, and the head of the woman is the man. So whenever the woman looks at the man, her husband, what she's really looking at is the Messiah himself. So what comes out of his mouth, if the man says, let's go to a place in the desert that our Father has prepared for us to have some children, and the wife turns around and says, well, actually, I quite like it in the world, because, you know, my father, you know, he worked really hard to get me here, you know, and, you know, so I feel an obligation to my father, to try and do my best in the world, to make as much money as I can, to be a career woman, and in this way I will serve you. And the man says, no, I'm having none of that. My father says, come out to the desert with me. I will woo you there, we will have children, and that is my father's plan. I shall be your head, and you shall be the head of the children and look after them. So there's no such argument, as you can read in Revelation chapter 12, from the woman, because this woman has been purified. This woman, his name is Israel, you know, and so when we take up the name Israel, you know, what we're actually doing is saying that the Messiah is our head, that the way that God has structured the family structure is the way that we shall go, and whatever the husband, the godly husband, says in his house, that will be the Torah, that will be the law of the household. You know, we won't buy or sell today, we will rest today, and that's exactly what the wife does, gladly. You know, she doesn't sulk, right? She doesn't say, well, actually, I want to go and buy a fur coat today, or you know, I want to go and do a bit of shopping today, or I want to clean my house today, because this is the way my father has shown me how to live. No. You come into the house of an Israeli man, an Israelite, if you like, into the tent of an Israelite, then you will have to accept what that man tells you, if you're married to him, as the very words of God. Because if you don't, it will just not work out. The Father's will not be done. Any promises that the Father has given that man or that family, because of the disobedient wife, these things will not come to pass. And if it's that woman's choice to stay in the world, and to go after the things of the world and pretend that she's being obedient to her husband, and put on this charade in front of people that she's actually a good wife, and in fact she wants no part in neither her husband's or his father's will, okay? So it's just like that with any believer. We should seek the Father's will in our lives, and therefore it's kind of like a river. It's passed down through the Messiah. The word comes to us as believers, as men, and sometimes we share that word with our spouses or our wives that are part of our body. You know, if you can imagine it as unorganic leadership rather than a structured pyramid, if you like. There's two forms of power structures in this world. One is a pyramid, whereby the ones at the top, it trickles down and it tells the ones at the bottom what to do, and that's an oppressive leadership. Okay, that's even if the people at the bottom don't want to do it. They're not really part of the body, as it were, at the top. So they're all separate bodies, and they're all got their own little levels until you get to the bottom, and you've got most of the people that are listening to their father's will, who's at the top, basically to do the opposite of what the other father's will is. And the way the true father's will is in the Bible works organically, if you like. It means that the father's will, the father's instruction, the father's authority, and even when we read in John 16 and 17, the Messiah actually prayed even for the Father's glory upon those that actually follow and obey the Messiah. And the Messiah only fully promises his Holy Spirit to those who obey him. Okay? But he also treats us as his friend. He doesn't treat us as outsiders or little workers at the bottom. He lets us know the Father's will. He treats us as equals, and therefore we actually share in his glory. We share in his authority over demons, over sickness, over all kind of different things. And it's a friendship, therefore, we have with the Messiah instead of this pyramidal structure. So it's an organic leadership, if you like. You can call it that, where it's grassroots, and that everybody's on a par, if you like, with the Messiah. And I believe there's even certain Psalms that the Father describes men as gods. So if you're truly walking with the true God like Moses was, then, and the apostles were obviously as well, some people describe them as gods because of the miracles and the signs and wonders that followed them. But it's kind of just the opposite with the other Father's kingdom. That he has his henchmen at the top, and those at the bottom have to do their Father's will, or basically it's a fear structure, and it's not like that in the true kingdom.